Grayson James has made things look set for the quarterback position for Boston College, but should the Eagles really go for a quarterback in the portal?
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College. I am your host, AJ Black. I am the editor and publisher of Eagle Insider, part of the 247 Network, and host of this great podcast. Thank you all for joining us. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. It's more portal chatter time here at Locked On Boston College, and we have tons to talk about. Now, on today's show, we are going to dedicate this entire episode to the transfer portal because there is a ton to talk about. We're going to look at the quarterback position for a big majority of this episode, but also there's some visitors that I've been able to confirm. You're going to want to know who they are and what positions they're playing and hear all about what they could bring to Boston College if they do plan to commit. But let's kick this off with our quarterback conversation. Now, you look at what BC has at quarterback. You have Grayson James, who, as I've said, has earned his way to being the starter for 2025 with a very strong end of the 2024 season. He gets thrown in after an injury at the beginning of the year to take over for Thomas Castellanos, who quit the team, and goes ahead and wins 3 out of 4 games and has them, toe-to-toe with SMU, a playoff team, on the road. So Grayson James has definitely put himself in position. Now, one thing that I always worry about, James, this is his first year as a starter in this offense. There's not a lot of tape on him in this offense. Obviously, he came from FIU. He didn't get a chance to play. What happened when there was tape on Thomas Castellanos? Even if it was against, a different offense, he looked like a completely different quarterback. So I think it's fair to say you want to make sure that you have an option B just in case the quarterback, Grayson James, does not play the way he's playing right now. Not saying it's going to happen, just saying it's a wise move to have a plan B in case it doesn't happen. And maybe, just maybe, you go to camp and this new guy comes in and he kills it. Now, what caliber quarterback could Boston College get? Well, you look at the options in the portal right now. It's lacking, in my opinion. You don't have the Riley Leonards of last year. You don't have the A-level quarterbacks that I feel like Dylan Gabriel of Oregon. You don't have those types of guys this year. Jackson Arnold is probably one of your top quarterbacks. Malik Murphy of Duke, he's another one. And even you have Thomas Castellanos in your top 10. That just tells you where the quarterback position is. So I don't think any of the top 10 quarterbacks are guys you're going to even consider going after. And honestly, if it's a resource issue, you don't want to be. You do not need to be spending money, like big money, on a quarterback for next year. You got yours. Pay Grayson James well and get someone who can battle him to come in. You don't want someone who, unless you really want Grayson James to leave, you don't need a quarterback to come in here to just take over QB1. And he's earned every right to be here. So when I look at quarterbacks, what Boston College could and should go after, I think of quarterbacks that are benched at a Power 5 school. I look at FCS quarterbacks and other guys that just have not had who have either lost their job and can't find one or can't get a new job, get up to being that starter. One name that pops up that I thought was interesting, and I'm not sure BC could get to that level, is Preston Stone of SMU. I say Dallas because he's playing in Dallas. Now, he threw for 4,000 yards. This is a big quarterback, but Kevin Jennings beat him out, and rightfully so. Kevin Jennings is one of my picks for next year's Heisman winner. Like, this is a guy that's really, really good. And so Preston Stone is out there. Now, there's probably a team that will take a chance to give him an immediate starting position. But maybe if he slides through, that could be someone you bring in to battle Grayson James. That would be somebody. I said Reef Poffenberger, who was he was at Miami, and he's a transfer from an FCS school I don't have in front of me. Maybe he's the kind of guy that you bring in. I don't think there's anything wrong if you watch the film. This is the key for BC in the portal. You got to watch the film and look at the quarterbacks that do what Bill O'Brien wants. You want a quarterback that can throw the ball, that can be a little bit mobile. I mean, Grayson James is not the most mobile guy. He's not Thomas Castellanos, but he can still move really well. You don't need a guy that just stands back there because that's just not how offenses work now. You need a guy that can be a little bit mobile. So that's something. Now, would Devin Brown of Ohio State? I don't think he's going to be now that I look at where BC's at, I don't think he's going to be someone you would consider. I don't think he's a guy that BC can afford, or he's going to be all that interested because I think he's going to go. The thing when you look at guys who are starting quarterbacks, many of them they're going to start at the top. They're going to look at, can I go to Alabama? Can I go to Ohio State? And if it doesn't work, you're going to go down to, can I go to Wake Forest? Can I go and continue going down? Can I go to MAC level programs? Can I go to, Sun Belt teams? Keep going down all the way down to UMass and UConn. That's the way it's going to work. So, and then after that, after all those schools are filled with their starters, that's when a school like BC, at least BC, will get a chance at bringing a guy in. So I just don't see that happening. And BC's, I'm going to say this again. BC needs one more quarterback, and it has to be a transfer because you have Grayson James and then you have Jacoby Robinson. And I don't think that's what you need as your 1-2 punch going into next year. I think Grayson James is fine. I'm concerned that Jacoby Robinson isn't there yet, based off of what I've watched. Nothing against him. Maybe he's going to develop. Maybe the coaching staff, John DiBiaso and Will DeLong, they see him and watch him, and they're like, oh, this is a guy that's going to be ready. I just think you just need another name in there. I think you need a third guy, someone who is an upperclassman who has been around long enough and older enough that can step in case something happens. Because Boston College at the quarterback position has notoriously been dinged up. They've had guys get injured constantly, and this could be something to watch for next year with Grayson James, who plays a safer style of football, but he still gets hit. He gets out there, he gets banged up. So you're going to want to make sure you're protected. So we'll get into more about one name I think that I would consider, and it's a name that you definitely remember. I'll get into all of that in just a moment. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if they win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Now, you might have been watching Monday Night Football. Jamar Chase had 177 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. You could have put in that the Bengals were going to win by less than a touchdown. Jamar Chase was going to have over 100 receiving yards and an anytime touchdown. That is one killer parlay right there. You could do that at FanDuel, and it's so easy to put together. Even I can do it. If I can do it, you can do it too. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Welcome back. This is Locked On Boston College. I'm your host, AJ Black, and we are in crazy season. This is transfer portal season, where there's already, I think I saw like 1,400 names. BC has 9 names in already, or 8 names. It doesn't seem like a ton. And there hasn't honestly been, other maybe than Sione Hala, there really hasn't been like a guy that I want, whoa, didn't expect that to happen. So you're looking at the quarterback position, because as I said, you have next year, your quarterback room is 3 guys. That would be all you have. you have Grayson James, Jacoby Robinson, and then true freshman Shaker Reisig, and that's it. I mean, if you want to count Peter Delaporte as all the power to you, you can count him if you want, but I think you need to add somebody else. And I went through all these different names. I'm going over like, you're not getting Jackson Arnold, you're not getting Malik Murphy, you're not even going to get some of these other named quarterbacks because most of these guys, A, are going to cost you too much. B, they already know that Grayson James is established. And C, it's Boston College. It's not the most attractive school out there. So I've been looking at who's available. And, you can find names that are just like, oh, maybe that guy would take a back seat. Or maybe this guy will. But on Tuesday, one name popped up, and I was like, this guy might be the perfect fit. And someone you all know. On Tuesday, Old Dominion quarterback and friend of the program, Emmett Moorhead, re-entered the transfer portal. And I thought to myself, I wouldn't hate if he came back. Honestly, I think I think it'd be actually a pretty good fit. Moorhead left the team last year. And like, what does Emmett Moorhead do well? He's got a pretty good arm. He's a guy that can do, we watched him in 2023. He could throw the ball. He's got good size. He's 6'6". He's huge. Immobile enough. Like, I would say Grayson James is a little bit more mobile, but Emmett Moorhead can move. And he knows the school. Now, I'm not saying I have any clue if Emmett Moorhead is actually interested in coming back. But, he had an opportunity at Old Dominion. He went there over the summer. I mean, Old Dominion went through like 4 quarterbacks and he never found a role. So this is going to be a guy that's going to be pretty desperate. I mean, he's got a couple options now. I think, honestly, he's got 2. He could probably drop down to FCS and start. Or he could go back to Boston College and try to, push his way back up the line. So I look at Emmett Moorhead and say, if I were to name a guy that you could afford to bring in, he's not going to be super expensive NIL, a guy that has shown that he can do it. I mean, he's played enough. I mean, he beat a ranked team for BC. A guy that I feel that Bill O'Brien could definitely, build up. This is a guy that can do it. And he's not going to be desperate. I mean, he's not going to be picky. That's the thing. Like, Emmett Moorhead is not going to go find a Power 4 starting job. He's just not. I don't think he's going to find a G5 starting job. So if Jonathan DiBiaso has watched his tapes and knows him from his time being at BC, he may say to himself, the devil I know may beat the devil I don't. And I think that Emmett Moorhead would be a great fit at QB2 again. Like, bring him back. Let him finish his master's degree here. He's got 2 years of eligibility left. If Grayson James gets hurt, you know what you have. Emmett Moorhead can throw sometimes. And I'd honestly be really intrigued to see what Bill O'Brien could do with him because I feel like Thomas Castellanos ran off Emmett Moorhead because he kind of had a stranglehold on the starting job. But you look back at it now, you have to wonder, would have Emmett Moorhead have been a better fit for this offense than Castellanos was? I think he might have. And so, I don't have details if they're actually looking at him. I don't know where he's looking, and I honestly don't. I don't know what the situation was and when he left. Like, remember what happened when he lost the starting job. What Jeff Halfley did to him wasn't the greatest thing in the world. Like, you brought him down to Charlotte. He had him at ACC Media Days and then gave him 2 drives and then took him out and we never saw him again. I could understand if Emmett Moorhead never wants to go back to Boston College. But it would be kind of a fun redemption story if he did. Like, it would be fun to have him back. And, like, I think a lot of folks really do appreciate what he can do. So maybe this is the answer. Maybe, like, if BC really does need a quarterback, and I'm not sure that I haven't honestly seen a lot of real interest in quarterbacks in the portal from the staff. That being said, I said, maybe this is something that is a lower priority for him. And what's a better lower priority than going after and getting, what was he, the fifth string quarterback at Old Dominion? That would be a perfect value pick for BC. Like, you go out there and you grab, I don't care who it is, it's going to cost you money. Emmett Moorhead, you can get as your backup quarterback. And then you have a quarterback trio of Jacoby Robinson, Emmett Moorhead, and Grayson James. You have three guys now. So this is something I'm very interested to see what happens. I'm very interested to see if he'd be interested in coming back. Very interested to see if the staff wants him back. The whole thing that, as I was mentioning before, the whole reason he left, it just seemed weird. It was a whole weird situation. And so we'll have to wait and see. But I thought when the possibility of a quarterback came up, honestly, like, this is the best that you're going to get right now. Like, if Thomas Cast, BC's in such a weird spot, honestly, because about a month and a half ago, if you were to ask me, watching Thomas Castellano's futzel all over Virginia Tech and UVA, I thought Bill O'Brien, the quarterback whisperer, this would be a major spot where he had to go. Like, we watched Grayson James against Western Kentucky, and honestly, like, that did not look like the answer. And so I thought they're both going to bomb. This end of the season is going to be bad, but O'Brien can do what Fran Brown did and bring in this like good quarterback. That's clearly not the need of this team. Grayson James has shown that he can run this offense and he's good at it. You don't need to do that, but you do need to bring in some depth. Grayson James and Emmett Moorhead, that's a combo I could get behind. Now, in our final segment, some of these visitors are already starting to pile up. I'll tell you who's going to be coming on campus. I'll explain who they are, give you a little bit of details, and tell you what positions they play, because I think you're going to want to know what BC is actually targeting here. We'll get into all of that in just a moment. Nothing delivers comfort and joy quite like the unrivaled quality and taste of Omaha Steaks. It's guaranteed perfection in every single bite, and right now you can save on unforgettable gifts with 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, score an additional $30 off with promo code COLLEGE. With 5 generations of experience, they consistently deliver the world's best steak experience, and the gifting experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to deliver the perfect gift with thoughtfully curated gift packages featuring gourmet favorites. From legendary steaks to mouth-watering desserts and more, save 50% off site-wide for a limited time at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $30 off with promo code COLLEGE. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $30 off with promo code COLLEGE. Minimum purchase may apply. This is Locked On Boston College. I'm your host, AJ Black, coming back here to talk about the transfer portal. But before I do, speaking of the portal, check out Locked On ACC with Kenton Gibbs and Alex Dono. They're talking about the portal throughout the conference and the role of the ACC in the college football world. Check that out on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. Now, I've been telling you all about the different names that have been on Eagle Insider that BC has been connected to, guys to watch for. But as the week gets on, you're starting to see how the portal is working. You're seeing BC not really offering anybody, because I think that is by design. Boston College, I believe, is trying to be specific about making sure that players that they're interested in aren't making a big deal about it on social media, because other teams see that and they go, oh, wait, let's watch that film because that kid got Boston College's attention. That's how you lose guys like Byshell Tutin, because it was a big deal. He, caught Virginia Tech's attention. Boom, he's gone. And then he kills you this year. So I think BC is making offers. You're just not hearing about it because it sounds to me like it's probably a purposeful decision by the school to do that. However, there are 3 players that are already taking visits. One, I'm going to keep quiet because I think you're going to need to find out about it on my site. But otherwise, there's 2 names that I think you need to watch for, and they're taking visits soon. The first one is VJ Wilkins. He goes by the nickname Speedy. Rocket, excuse me. And he's a wide receiver from Campbell University. Campbell University is the school, if you never heard of it, that took Connor Litton this year. If you remember that kicker from a couple years ago, he was their starting kicker this year. Well, VJ Wilkins is a 5'10 receiver who was FCS All-American as a true freshman with 52 catches in 2023. He had 38 catches for 514 yards. He's obviously a slot receiver. BC right now, when you're looking at what BC needs, receiver seems to be a big position because you just lost Jerron Bradley, Jaden McGowan, and Montrell Wade. Montrell Wade obviously was not a big loss, but the other two you brought in to play, and now you need to fill those spots. Campbell also is taking visits to James Madison and FAU. He's going to be on campus this weekend. When you look at a visiting schedule like that, this is the kind of visit that Boston College can just nail and get him to cancel those visits. I'm going to tell you, the BC's a P4 school with Bill O'Brien. They should be able, if this is a guy they really want, they can lock this down this weekend. And like he'll cancel those other visits. And that gets you your wide receiver. One with a pretty good pedigree. I think that he's supposed to be a pretty well thought after wide receiver. This would be a good one. And I was joking on Twitter. You get him in here, you have Rocket and Turbo on your offense. Can you think about that? Like you get your offense out there. It's either a pass to Rocket or a run to Turbo. That would be fun. So you get him for 2 years if he chooses Boston College. And would definitely be a nice weapon for this offense. So that is one to watch for. The other positional player is Stephen Curtis, a defensive edge from Illinois State. He's going to visit next weekend, the 20th and 22nd. He is visiting, I believe, Cincinnati this weekend. He is a defensive edge from Illinois State. He's 6'5" sophomore who had 5 sacks and 3 forced fumbles this past season. BC absolutely needs to start getting defensive edge rushers. And one thing I've noticed through staff interactions on social media, they're looking at quite a few of them. You're losing Donovan Azaraku and his 16.5 sacks. Obviously, that's a big loss for this team. And you're never going to find just one guy to do it. I honestly think they may look at 2 edge rushers because, you got Quintavious Hutchins, but you need some depth there. And I'm not sure where the depth is. So when you look at a guy like Stephen Curtis, yes, he's from Illinois State. Yes, you may not have heard of him. But that's where the coaching staff is going to come up for him and a guy like VJ Wilkins. Like, watch the film. They're going to watch this film and say to themselves, this is a guy we can coach up. This is a guy that could be an ACC level guy to fill a slot that they need. So he's another one. Now, I've been monitoring. I know more names that are coming out. I have more names coming out, including a potential punter, a potential defensive tackle that's in the portal. They're looking at tight ends. There's a whole bunch of different guys. I have it all up on Eagle Insider. I'm giving you just a taste here, just giving you a little feeler here of guys that could be in BC's wheelhouse. I know guys that are coming in, but this is going to be a big one to watch. And as the week goes on, more and more names are going to come in because they got to start planning their visits. This is a part of the schedule that is like in speed mode because you have to have guys locked in and signed by the start of second semester, especially at a school like BC. You can't have them enroll in April. It doesn't make any sense. This is a college. They have to get in here. So this is going to go quick. Make sure you're on Eagle Insider. Bookmark that page. Stay here at Locked On BC because I'll be back again tomorrow for more discussions about this because I'm sure there's going to be more news breaking. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for following. Make sure to hit me up on Twitter at AJBlack247. Become an Eagle Insider. Right now, it's 50% off. That gets you like unlimited access to all my VIP stuff for like $3 a month. And you're supporting some great work. I have the visitors list up. I have names that I think BC is connected with. We have hockey coverage. We got basketball coverage. I got someone covering women's basketball tomorrow. Come on over. Check us out. I think you'll enjoy it. This is AJ Black. I'll see you all again tomorrow for another episode of Locked On Boston College, your team every day.